Celebration time. It don't matter what part of the jewelry you come from. You da you and me da me. But guess what? All are we the one. See what I mean? Jump and shout all over the nation. We're breaking out with a new creation.
The United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child is the most widely ratified human rights treaty in history. Belize was the 5th country to ratify the treaty, which aims to transform the lives of children around the world. Article 12 establishes the right of every child to freely express their views in matters affecting them. Our Belize Watch team traveled to Dangriga, where we spoke with 10-year-old Jaymar Nicasio. Last year, he was the youngest child to participate in the National Children's Parliament. The conversation covered several issues, and we will have that for you after we hear from our partners, the National Gas Company, Shell Belize Limited, B&E Charitable Trust, and the Barry.
Since 2008, the Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust has created opportunities for Belizeans to develop themselves and their communities. The trust employs tools that are intuitive, collaborative, and accessible so that every Belizean is empowered to achieve their full potential. Over 200,000 Belizeans have been impacted because of our various initiatives. The Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, empowering Belizeans of today to create the Belize of tomorrow. Shell Belize has been fueling Belize for many, many years, and they have done that reliably and with a lot of dependability.
We are the Barry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. The Barry. Get more? Be less.
But what is the National Gas Company really? And how does it acquire transparently priced supplies of liquefied petroleum gas for the people of this country?
First of all, there was a new law written to regulate the National Gas Company. The process starts with open and transparent tendering, where LPG companies, Belizean or foreign, can compete to supply the country of Belize with liquefied petroleum gas. Once the supply agreement has been concluded and delivery details agreed, marine gas carriers arrive to offload well over 1 million gallons of LPG on a single stop. Prior to offloading the ship, LPG is quality checked by an independent fuel auditing third party to ensure that the quality being received is acceptable for use in the country of Belize. With the modern storage infrastructure installed by the National Gas Company, Belize has more than 1.6 million gallons of LPG storage available. This volume provides the country more than the monthly national consumption, thereby providing a crucial buffer in this era of climate change and supply disruptions.
The National Gas Company of Belize, fueling Belize forward.
I'm with Jaymar Nicasio, and Jaymar is a young man, as we can see. Got it correct? Okay. How young are you, Jaymar?
I am 10 years old.
You are 10 years old. And who is Jaymar Nicasio that's 10 years old that's sitting here talking to me? Tell me, who is he?
Well, I think of myself as an intelligent person that got good opportunities and took them.
An intelligent person that got good opportunities and took them. Well, let's talk about that intelligent person. Let me understand why you qualify yourself as an intelligent person, even at this young, tender age of 10.
I think I think the definition of intelligent is someone who is not someone who knows every single fact in the world, because nobody can know every single fact. But I think someone who is intelligent is someone who is extremely good at one thing, extremely good at one thing. They know everything about that one thing, because everyone in the world does not know everything. So all of us have a talent.
So would you describe intelligence something like a natural curiosity to learn?
Yes.
And what have you chosen to learn to specialize in?
Well, I think my specialties are having good business ideas and having a good eye for things that should be better in Belize.
That's a very good place to jump off. Things that could be better in Belize. What are some of the things that could be better in Belize as far as you are concerned?
I know a lot of people that think that Belize should be a country with big skyscrapers and all those things. But if Belize has big skyscrapers and all of those things, then we won't be special anymore. Tourists will not come.
So the tourists that come here, what do they come for?
When they come here, they come for a difference in scenery. When they are at their original country, they see skyscrapers and all of these things that are normal to them. But when they come here, they see something special.
Now, how old were you when you realized that you were special, that you had this stroke of geniusity, if I can call it that way?
I was 8 when I joined the Child Advisory Body.
The Child Advisory Body?
Yes.
What is the Child Advisory Body?
The Child Advisory Body is basically an organization across Belize with different how should I put this? With different people, with different presidents operating different parts. So then, for a while, I was the vice president of the Child Advisory Body. But basically, to explain all of it from Corozal all the way to Toledo, the Child Advisory Body creates rules for children, creates rights for children and enforces them.
Now, looking at the rights for children, how much of these rights are you aware of as it concerns children?
I'm aware that I think it's 31 of them or 51 of them, but I don't know all of them, to be honest.
What are the ones that remain with you most?
The ones that remain with me most, that is a very good question. The first one that I always remember is a child always has the right to education. A child has the right to a home. A child has the right not to be abused. A child has a voice, and a child has the right to speak against an abuser.
Very good. Have you been caught up in situations where you've had to exercise any of those rights?
No.
Never yet.
No.
Now, let's turn to your family, your mom, your dad, and your siblings. What can you tell me about your family?
Well, I am an only child. My father lives in San Diego and my mother lives in Dangriga here. And throughout my life, I've only lived in San Diego for about a year, but all the rest of my life, I've lived in Dangriga.
What do you like most about Dangriga?
Let me see. What do I like most about Dangriga? The thing that I like most about Dangriga is the scenery and the culture and the different ethnic groups that live in this town. Because you can find Mayas, Garfnas, Spanish, and all Chinese and all of those living in this wonderful place we call Dangrika.
Now, if I were a tourist and that you were in San Diego, you said?
Yes,
And I did not know anything about Dangriga. How would you describe Dangriga to me in encouraging me to come and visit Dangriga?
I would say it has good sceneries and wonderful beaches. And I would recommend a couple of places where they can go, where they can see the beach and they can also eat their food.
Which is your favorite food? And what's the food you recommend most?
My favorite food, to be honest, I think it's mashed potatoes, to be honest. My favorite food is mashed potatoes.
One of my favorites is hudud. I had it today. Yes.
Oh.
Have you had hudud?
Yeah, most of the time when we have hudud, it is either sometime in November, but more recently we are having hudud, like we are stopped having hudud for a while, and more than likely we're going to eat fish.
Okay. Well, hudud carries fish too, right?
Yeah, but
you want to eat the fish otherwise,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right. Now, you are obviously somebody that influence other young people your age, right? How does it feel to be in a position where you can actually influence others your age through these chapters and the organization you're with?
It feels, how would I describe it? It feels good. It feels when you can influence someone to do the right thing, it feels like you're stopping one person at a time from sinning.
That's an amazing way of putting it. Stopping one person at a time from sinning. Yes. Why you chose the word sinning?
Well, I'm not sure if it is actual word, but that is how I describe it. But the reason why I say sin is because when you go down the wrong path, let's say you go down the wrong path of life, they abuse you, they curse all day, all night. God knows when their rest will stop sleep. But when you live in that kind of condition, you tend to think, oh, this is how the world works. And then you'll carry that on to your friends, and your friends will carry that on to their friends. And then eventually, you'll act like the people that you had disliked in the beginning.
So you're saying that the way you think or you are taught to think is what would affect your outlook and your outcome in life, right?
Indeed.
Because really life flows from within us, right? Not from around us, but from within us.
Yes.
Right? You're aware of that?
Yes. Very aware.
Describe to me your level of awareness when it comes to life following thought, the way how you think.
The way how I think is that you will turn out depending on what you see around you. That is how the way you, if you live in an area where people think bad about each other, when you grow to a age like say 20, 29, 25, you would think the same way. You would think like the people that you had disliked in the beginning, you'd act like them and think like them.
So that phrase that they say, tell me your company and I'll tell you who you are, is a true one then?
Yes. Yeah.
So you should really have goals. Do you have any goals in life? You are young, you're 10 years old. Do you know what you want to be, let's say, when you're 20, 25?
I am not sure what I will do in the future. I'm not really sure. That is a question I get often from friends and teachers. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. People say I act like a politician. Some people say I should be a doctor because I like helping people. Some people say I should be a pilot. Some people say I should be a lawyer. Some people said I should be a pilot because I like studying.
Well, what do you say?
I think that I should find a job where I feel set in the world, where I have a place, where I feel I have meaning, and wherever that job is where I'm staying.
But this time now, that's for when you're 2025. Now you're just 10 years old. At this time, what would you tell other 10-year-olds like yourself who might not have started thinking what they want to be in life? How would you advise them?
I would say for them to study harder, to try and be a better influence to your friends that might not have a good influence at home, because some people might say that their family or their friends are good where they are, and then when they really go back, they realize how wrong they were, and then when they go back, they're just going to say the exact same thing all over again when they ask them about their families.
So it's important to keep family close to you and know what you want from an early age.
Yes.
Now, looking at your country, Belize, you and the overall picture of Belize, what are your thoughts as to how life could be improved in Belize?
One way how life could improve in Belize is that instead of raising the price of gas, we can try and export cash crops. Cash crops are basically plants that are easy to grow. They don't take long to grow, but they're necessary in a lot of things. Cash crops such as bananas, sugarcane, cassava, potatoes, cotton.
So you think we should concentrate more on the agricultural base of the country? What about the tourism side of things?
On the tourism side of things, I think that Belize should invest more, because over 60% of Belize is forest. So I think we should invest more in companies that want to set up things like, oh, this is a campsite, or oh, that is a jungle tour, or more zoos in Belize.
Have you traveled to other areas of Belize besides Dangriga?
I've been to Spanish Lookout, Belize City, Punta Gorda Town. I've been to Belmopan. I've been to Corozal Town, San Ignacio, Santa Elena. I've been to Orange Walk Town, and I've been to Ladyville.
Well, that's a good sample of what Belize is all about. I don't want to ask you which one is your favorite spot, because I guess you'll tell me Dangriga, right?
Yes. San Pedro. When I go to San Pedro, it feels like what Belize should be. All of Belize should be. It's not too big, but it keeps Belize's cultural identity.
Did you go to swim with the sharks and the stingrays and so?
No, but I swam with a Malante, and I think once when we were on a family trip on the family key, I saw a stingray.
Now, you think it's important for every boy and girl your age to get to know their country, visit all these places that you have been in Belize and understand what your country is all about?
I think that children my age should go around and visit Belize so they can make a little idea in their head of what they want their country to be in the future.
Because many times you find in school they're teaching you about foreign culture, they teach you about other history of different countries in the world, but they don't teach you enough about Belize. Have they? You think in what do you think of that in your mind? Is that something that you find happening, that in school you learn a lot about the, let's say, the not Mississippi River or some other river, and very little about the Belize River?
Well, I think that a lot of Belizeans know Thomas Vincent Ramos, and a lot of Belizeans know the famous Belizean heroes. But a lot of Belizeans don't know some of the other forgotten Belizean heroes, such as the person who claimed this land as for the British Empire. Nobody remembers who that was. Nobody remembers. People remember the Battle of St. George's Key, but they barely remember the people who fought in it.
Yeah, that is so. But you said something interesting. Who claimed this land for the British Empire? Who was that?
I heard the name before because I think I read a book and I heard the name before, but there's just one thing that I remember about him that I read from that book, and that he named the land that he found Belize because there is a Spanish version to his name, and then it just evolved, and by the time it got to him, it was Belize, so he turned it to Belize.
You're talking about Peter Wallace, right?
Yes.
That's the person you're talking about.
Peter Wallace, yes.
Okay. So that is, it is said that Belize is a corruption of his name, Wallace, Ballis, and down the road to Belize. That's what it said in some quarters. Of course, there are other theories as to where Belize got its name from, right? The ancient land of Belikin, where the Maya Mopan live in central Belize.
Yes. I've heard the one about Peter Wallace is the only one I've heard about so far, and the only one I've read about so far.
What other aspects of Belizean history have you read besides the Peter Wallace story?
Well, that would be too much to say in 1 hour, but the main parts of it that I read about Belizean history, I try to find stuff about Belizean heroes, what Belize went through in the past, how we got out of it, and natural disasters. So like I just researched about all Belizean coins, and I found one on Google that had Queen Victoria's face on them. That was the first time I was seeing a Belizean coin from that time. And then sometimes I would research about Garifuna heroes like Joseph Chatouille, Thomas Vincent Ramos, and Alejo Bene, and all of those.
Let's look at some of those heroes. What do you know about the Right Honorable George Rice?
Well, I know that they say he was the founder of the nation, he was the father of the nation, and that he made a lot of different things come to Belize. When he got into power, he made a lot of different things come to Belize. Like, now that I notice it, the other day when I was in school, my teacher was talking about social studies, and then she said that Belize needs to get more money because the streets in Belize City are too narrow. And then she said the reason that was because that the streets were originally paved to be for horse and carriage. But then I didn't research it, so I'm not really sure if that is true. But I don't think that is true, because didn't they repave some of the streets to be wider?
Well, some of the streets were made wider, yes, but the original streets in Belize City itself, which was Belize Town, was for horse and carriages indeed, because that was the mode of transportation in the olden days. Right? So they're correct when they tell you that part.
And I don't think a lot of people take joy when they realize that 2 generations ago, Belize was still a country that people were still using horse and carriage, and they're still they got a farm and all of those things. And within 2 generations, almost everybody have a phone, almost everybody have a computer, everybody have Gmail, WhatsApp, messages, almost everybody have an iPhone.
But back to these heroes, George Price, and I'm not sure if you told me all that you know about him. You told me he's the father of the nation, and that's about it. But do you know how we got our road to independence, how we got our independence?
Well, I know that it was a struggle. Well, it was sort of a struggle to get to independence. And something that made us see independence for a while was the 1919 riot, when former Belizeans went to go fight in World War I, and when they came back, they got discriminated against Caucasian people that came here.
You were discriminated against.
Yes. So then I know that the riot lasted from early July to late August, or mid-July to late August. And then I also saw a picture that was taken during the riot. And then when I was discussing this with my grandmother, she asked me if I knew who was Thomas Vincent Ramos. Yes, I was, because at that time this was November, and my teacher told us that we had a project to write a report on Thomas Vincent Ramos. Then she told me that, because I already knew that my great-grandmother was Ramos, right? But then she didn't tell me that that was his grandniece. That's what I didn't know. So that November, I think I didn't put it in, but when I did the report, I did make a subtle movement to see that he was a part of my family.
Okay, no. As a part of your family, you must be proud that you're related to Thomas Vincent Ramos. But what do you know of Thomas Vincent Ramos?
Well, I do know about him that Garifuna Settlement Day was made because of him. I do know that he was born on September 17th, 1898. Is it 1890? 1889. 1889. Yeah. And I do know that he was a Garifuna activist and made a lot of rights to Garifuna people come to Belize. A lot of rights for Garifuna people, because at the time there were more rights to the British settlers that were here than there were to the native people.
So you know the story of the Garifuna people that from St. Vincent to Balisao to Roatan, then onto the coast of Belize.
And I also learned a bit about Joseph Chatouye.
Yeah.
Yes, and that he was killed, and that it took several years for the British to defeat him, and then the reason why they defeated him was because they killed him.
They betrayed him, yeah.
Yes.
They was betrayed. Yeah. And you know of the hardships coming over from Vincent.
Roatan. I did. The part of the story that I remember the most is that Roatan was a barren place, couldn't plant anything.
Yeah, Roatan is an island off the north coast of Honduras.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think in order to populate it is when they moved the Garifuna nation to Roatan. All right? So you know the story.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Now, what could you tell me about the Honorable Philip Golson?
I don't know much. The only information that I got about Honorable Philip Golson is that I got in school, because most of the time I research about the things that happen to Belize, and I don't research a lot about recent politicians. I'd rather leave that to the education system. So most of the time I research about things that happened to Belize, and not things about the politicians, because something that I've took into consideration. Sometimes when I idolize somebody that did something great, they did one thing great, like let's say Christopher Columbus. I didn't idolize him, but I knew of him and I knew about him and what he did. But then when I went to research and then all of those things, I found out too much information. That he robbed the Caribbean island, he killed thousands of people, and that's when I realized that the less you know about somebody that they didn't teach you in school, it's probably for a reason.
We used to celebrate Columbus Day. Yes. What are your thoughts of the fact that we used to do that?
Well, it just became common knowledge that he did all of those things, so I don't blame anybody, because a lot of people didn't know that he did those things.
Do you think they should have been, had we known that, they would have had a Columbus Day in the first place?
No, not at all.
When we come back, Nicasio shares his views on the importance of teaching cultural identity and why the political system needs to change.
Since 2008, the Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust has created opportunities for Belizeans to develop themselves and their communities. The trust employs tools that are intuitive, collaborative, and accessible so that every Belizean is empowered to achieve their full potential. Over 200,000 Belizeans have been impacted because of our various initiatives. The Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, empowering Belizeans of today to create the Belize of tomorrow. Shell Belize has been fueling Belize for many, many years, and they have done that reliably and with a lot of dependability.
We are the Barry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. The Barry. Get more? Belize.
But what is the National Gas Company really? And how does it acquire transparently priced supplies of liquefied petroleum gas for the people of this country?
First of all, there was a new law written to regulate the National Gas Company. The process starts with open and transparent tendering, where LPG companies, Belizean or foreign, can compete to supply the country of Belize with liquefied petroleum gas. Once the supply agreement has been concluded and delivery details agreed, marine gas carriers arrive to offload well over 1 million gallons of LPG on a single stop. Prior to offloading the ship, LPG is quality checked by an independent fuel auditing third party to ensure that the quality being received is acceptable for use in the country of Belize. With the modern storage infrastructure installed by the National Gas Company, Belize has more than 1.6 million gallons of LPG storage available. This volume provides the country more than the monthly national consumption, thereby providing a crucial buffer in this era of climate change and supply disruptions.
The National Gas Company of Belize, fueling Belize forward.
You don't matter what part of
We have a beautiful flag. I think it's one of the most beautiful flags in the world, if not the most beautiful. For me, it's the most beautiful flag in the world. Right? And I'm sure maybe for you, it's the most beautiful flag in the world as well. Now, looking at that flag, what do you know about the flag? What did they teach you in school?
Basically, the knowledge that I gained not from school is that the Belizean flag.
Not from school?
Not from school. It's basically that the Belizean flag is one of the two flags in the world that has people on it. But the next flag that has people on it, it is like it is not visible. It's something like caricatures.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. And they also taught me that the white represents peace and the leaves represent the year that we gained our independence.
Well, let me just say, it's 50 leaves. There are 50 leaves, right? And you are not far off. The 50 leaves represent the year when the movement to independence started, which was 1950. So the 50 leaves represent the year 1950 when the movement to independence started, right? Okay. And the white, like you right, they said is peace. The blue, one of the political parties. The red, the other one.
Yes.
Right? And but I like to turn it around sometime, you know. I like to say that the blue represent the blue Belizean sky and the blue Belizean oceans. You know, have you been out to the deep blue ocean, the same color of our flag? Yeah.
And ours is the second biggest barrier reef, second to Australia. But our one is living. Australia is not. Yeah.
We have the largest living barrier reef in the world, and the second largest in overall,
largest
living barrier
reef.
Yeah, you got it correct. And the seas around that barrier reef are beautiful, deep blue, right? And the red would maybe represent the fact that we are prepared to give our all, shed our blood if need be, to defend this beautiful piece of land that we have, right? So you could give it another meaning as well, right? Well, that's just my friendly meaning. And then you know about the mahogany trade that's depicted on the flag?
Yes, but sometimes they told us that the mahogany tree represents our past as woodcutters.
Yes.
And when I researched that, it turns out that we made a lot of money selling mahogany to Britain and other empires back in Europe. But then it sort of stopped being profitable when Brazil came in with more mahogany trees. But now after centuries of cutting down trees, we need to preserve them. We need to start preserving.
Replanting basically would be I think a lot of trees were not just taken down, and there was not an active replanting program done until later on. Would that be true?
Yes.
As far as you know?
Yes.
Now, you said you studied this on your own. It was not taught to you in school, the part about the flag. You think we should be teaching that in school?
Well, I absolutely think that we should be teaching that in school. And something else that they are not teaching children in school is enough for Belizean history, because when I go and ask one of my friends, oh, did you know that this person was born this year, and then they did this for Belize, and then they died in this year, and then this is for them, and then they lived here. They don't know a thing. Most of the time they don't know the name. Most of the time they don't even know the name.
They don't know how Belize got its independence too as well, right? They just say, oh, we're independent now, and we have a flag and everything, but how did it come about? You think that is taught in schools? Was that ever taught to you?
Well, they taught us that they only taught us They only said the day we got our independence, the people who did it for us, and bam, done.
No,
And and they tell us a little bit about about the past and what led up to it, but they don't tell us much.
no, as a young Belizean, what do you think the schools should be teaching our young people?
I think they should be teaching us more about our cultural identity, because lately a lot of cultures and the people from those cultures are losing their cultural identity, because in the last generation, almost a lot of Garfna people spoke Garfna. A lot of Garfna people understood Garfna, but now you can barely find. You need to find someone who probably don't have grandkids, or somebody who was born, or somebody who's like 40, to find someone who speaks Garifuna.
Now, in your mind, what contributed to this situation?
Well, I think it's a lack of interest. To be honest, I think it's a lack of interest. In all the generations before, they had to speak the language, and memorize the language, because that's all their parents spoke to them. But then, in the last few generations, it wasn't mandatory. It wasn't you didn't have to learn the language. You didn't have to learn the language at all. You didn't have to learn the language, and most people didn't have the interest to learn the language. Most people didn't have the interest to teach their kids the language. But if they had the interest to teach their kids the language, then more than likely the child would not have the interest to memorize the language.
No, the language, what goes along with the language as well, and especially in the Garifuna culture too, is the music. Yes. Yeah. Are you familiar with the Garifuna music, and how familiar are you with it?
Well, I'm familiar with it enough just to know a couple of songs that I've been raised with, and I know the names of. But the only time I really listen to Garifuna music is like Christmas, summer, Easter, and 19th.
And you think maybe you should be listening to it every day?
Well, I'm not the kind of person that listens to Garifuna music every day, but I'm the kind of person that would, when they hear something, if they hear a Garifuna song, they will know it, but they will not sing along with it. But I would hum the melodies most of the time.
Now, besides the Garifuna music, do you like other music?
Well, besides the Garifuna music, I really don't have. Besides the Garifuna music and Belizean music, I don't really listen to other kinds of music. Sometimes I would listen to classical music for a while, like when I'm doing my homework, I would listen to it, because sometimes I would play the piano, and when I'm listening to it, I listen to it and I either play the piano or I put on my headphones and I do my homework.
How did you learn to play the piano?
Well, honestly, my mom enrolled me in piano classes, but then because of Corona, we had to stop. And then I downloaded this app. It's called Simple Piano, and then that taught me basically how to read notes and how to read music. And then when I stopped playing the piano for a while, so I just deleted the app. But then I regained the interest to play. Then I just went about looking for sheet music and listening to more classical music.
So you understand music, you can read music.
I can write music and I can read it. It depends, because in the app that I used, I didn't get to understand the foot pedals for the piano.
So have you composed any music of your own, any little tune or so of your own?
Well, I don't compose. I do something called improvisations. I listen to a piece and then I make something inspired by the piece.
Yes, same. So you have a sample of what you have done?
Not here. I don't really print out sheet music. I have this app that I keep the sheet music in after I write it.
Now, at 10 years old, you seem to be very well grounded, which means that you have given thought to. So, do you have an interest in politics?
Well, I do have an interest in politics, but it depends. If I'm an activist, I do have an interest in that. But if I'm parliamentarian, it depends on which position I'll take.
But in order to become a parliamentarian in our system, you need to get involved politically. Do you think that's a good system, that you need to actually get into a political party in order to become a parliamentarian, a member of the House of Representatives?
Well, the system is good, but the way written down on paper, the system is good. But the way how the plan is shown, that is where the pipe is clogged. That is where the pipe is clogged, because on paper it says, okay, so the way how this will work is that the people from this town will elect this person, and then that person will elect their area representative, and the area representative will vote for the prime minister, for the leader of the person of this party. But the way how it is shown out is that instead of letting the people choose with their own mind that they have, they bribe them. They bribe them with money, and sometimes they outright bribe them by saying, we will give more money to the people, and when they get into power, all they give you is a higher bill for gas.
Sometimes they don't have control over the gas bill, but yes, I understand what you are saying. The principle that you're behind is that when the campaign is on, there are a lot of promises being made, and when the election is over,
not a lot are gone through. Yeah, are fulfilled.
Right, and I guess that's a problem that has been happening for quite some time now, if I am to go by what I hear out there and what I see.
This is a question that I have for you. How do you describe the Belize? How do you describe the Belizean political system?
Well, I would like to change the political system, if I can, into the fact that there should be a distinction between the House of Representatives and the Cabinet, because what we have is a system where the Cabinet and the House of Representatives are wrapped in one, right? You elect a representative to represent your constituency, to represent you in the National Assembly. The National Assembly is supreme. The House of Representatives is supreme to the Cabinet. The Cabinet is the executive arm of the House of Representatives. But the same people who are the executive arms are the same people who are in the National Assembly. So it's like, okay, I am running my company. I have a board of directors, but I make a decision to do something, and I take it now to my board of directors, who are made up of the same people that made the decision to do the thing along with me. So nobody will say no. You see? So the cabinet should be accountable to the House of Representatives. Right?
And that is such a good idea. And something that I noticed when you were talking is that a lot of people say House of Representatives, the host, the House of Representatives, the host. But a lot of people don't use the correct term Parliament.
Well, it's a parliament because if you look at the Westminster system, then that's where it comes from.
The Westminster.
Well, we say we use the Westminster system, but the Westminster system is made up of, let us say, in Britain there are about 500 members plus of the House of Commons, which is the equivalent of House of Representatives. So there are 500 plus members in the House of Commons. Now, these 500 members, out of these 500 members, there must be a majority of, let us say, 262, so that a party can say, well, I won the elections, or 261, whatever the case may be. Now, from those 200 plus members, the cabinet will be comprised of maybe 15, which means you have a lot of backbenchers, a lot of people who are not in the cabinet, right? And so the cabinet is forced to be accountable to the House of the House of Commons. But in our system, the way we work it is that the majority in our House of Commons, which is our House of Representatives, are also members of the cabinet. You see the picture? So if a bill before the House requires a majority and the cabinet says this is the way it's going and it takes it to the House, then it already is assured of a majority because the majority of the House is already inside the cabinet. So if you want to take that and turn it around, what you need to do is to activate and give life to the House committees, because there's a House committee on everything, where the representative is a chairman, accordingly, of that particular House committee, where the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister commandeer a cabinet of citizens, where when cabinet decides something and the Prime Minister takes it to the House of Representatives, it can be debated properly, right? Because the House of Representatives functions separately from the cabinet.
Yes.
You understand that there's a check and balance system, okay?
Something that I would change in the political system is that if you are caught bribing someone to vote for you, you should be kicked out of the election, because nowadays every politician has bribed every politician has bribed more than probably 50 so people.
In your mind?
Yes.
Okay, so in your mind, the bribery should stop.
Indeed.
Yes,
It's not getting the way how bribery works is that let's say this person wants to vote for this person, and then the person from the next campaign gives them money to vote for that person. It will not make a fair election on what the people on who the people want to be the leader of them, their leader. It will not make a fair representation.
Okay. So, yeah, you always hear those accusations of the buying of votes. It'd be difficult to prove, but you always hear it all over the place, right? And takes away your free will, right?
We will wrap up our conversation with Jaymar Nicasio after we hear from our partners.
Since 2008, the Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust has created opportunities for Belizeans to develop themselves and their communities. The Trust employs tools that are intuitive, collaborative, and accessible so that every Belizean is empowered to achieve their full potential. Over 200,000 Belizeans have been impacted because of our various initiatives. The Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, empowering Belizeans of today to create the Belize of tomorrow. Shell Belize has been fueling Belize for many, many years, and they have done that reliably and with a lot of dependability.
We are the Barry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange Rock, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. The Barry. Get more? Feel less.
But what is the National Gas Company really? And how does it acquire transparently priced supplies of liquefied petroleum gas for the people of this country?
First of all, there was a new law written to regulate the National Gas Company. The process starts with open and transparent tendering, where LPG companies, Belizean or foreign, can compete to supply the country of Belize with liquefied petroleum gas. Once the supply agreement has been concluded and delivery details agreed, marine gas carriers arrive to offload well over 1 million gallons of LPG on a single stop. Prior to offloading the ship, LPG is quality checked by an independent fuel auditing third party to ensure that the quality being received is acceptable for use in the country of Belize. With the modern storage infrastructure installed by the National Gas Company, Belize has more than 1.6 million gallons of LPG storage available. This volume provides the country more than the monthly national consumption, thereby providing a crucial buffer in this era of climate change and supply disruptions.
The National Gas Company of Belize, fueling Belize forward.
Your mother, she mentioned that you're also a businessman, which would lead me to believe that you believe in entrepreneurship, right? So, let me hear about this business side of Izzy.
Well, I have only had one business. It was a lemonade stand, but I am planning on starting another business, and in that one I'm going to sell jams and jellies.
Are you going to make those jams and jellies yourself?
Yes. And in the future, I think I'm going to make different varieties of the jams and jellies. But for right now, I'm just going to stick with mango jam.
Mango jam.
Yes.
Mango season coming in soon.
Yeah. Yes.
That's right, not true?
Yeah.
Natural thing, right? Any special mango that you want to use, or just general any kind of mango?
Generally, any kind of mango.
You know, lots of people that say, well, come on, mango nicer, or Tara mango nicer, whatever.
Yeah.
But you use anyone.
Yes. And another thing that I am really interested in is gardening. And I really think that more people should get gardens, because lately a lot of people are saying, I should really start a garden, but they never do start a garden. And then the prices of goods are going up and food is getting more expensive, but it is a really good idea for a lot of common people to start a garden.
How would you advise people to go about starting a garden?
I would say to start off with the easy foods to plant first, like let's say kidney beans, sweet pepper, potatoes. They have a large variety of herbs they could plant. and the one that I would best recommend would be fever grass, because you can make fever grass tea. I've heard.
And fever grass tea is very good for you, I understand.
Yes, I've only tried it a couple of times, and I have the understanding that when you make it, it's not like to drink like every day. It's to drink like when you're sick.
But it's delicious. I could smell it right now as you said fever grass tea. I could smell some fever grass tea in there.
Yeah, and then something about fever grass that I don't like is that sometimes you would find a fever grass, find a fever grass plant, and then you'd pull one of the leaves, and then if you pull it the wrong way, your fingers will feel weird. It just feels weird. That's why every time I pull fever grass, I use gloves and scissors, but I don't do it often anymore.
Now, what other interests do you have outside of those that you have told me about?
Well, another interest that I have is giving good giving business advice.
Okay, so give me some good business advice now. Look at here, what advice would you give me if I'm about to start my business?
Even if let's say you have a business where you sell juice, you will not invest in other companies that sell. You will not invest in other companies that sell juice. But you would invest in other companies that, let's say, there's this company that wants to grow oranges and you need orange to make your orange juice. You'd invest in that, and in return they will give you, let's say, a slight discount, so you'd have more oranges for a lower price. And something else is good flattery. If you flatter someone, once you flatter someone, they might have a different side. They might have a different opinion on stuff that you say. Because let's say
You're talking about advertising.
yes. Let's say that you say, wow, that shirt is really good. That shirt looks really good. They would say thank you, and then they will try to, and then when let's say you ask, oh, can I have that lime or can I have that orange? They would say, oh, here you go, say a bag of orange or say a bag of lime over there.
So
Because they want you to compliment them more. Flattery can help you, but you need to know when to stop flattering someone because they'll get suspicious.
you can see through flattery really. After a while, you start seeing through it. Right? It just lasts so long.
It doesn't last long.
It doesn't last too long. You can easily see through it. Right? Now, in business, you since you say you have this love for or this wanting to have your own business, there are some principles that apply in business, right? Like your
Business license but
you can't spend more than you earn.
yes, you can spend more than we earn, and you need a business license. But I'm not sure if you're under 18, you need a business license. If you're under 18, do you need a business license?
I don't think so, because your mom would be the person in charge of you up until when you're 18. So your mom may have to get out that title license or permission for your permit or whatever you need.
That is a really good idea, and that should be allowed. That a child cannot have a business unless the supervising parent has a business license.
The parent would help the child in teaching the child business and so on. But I think you can go and maybe as a part of a school project, you can do things like that.
I have a question for you. What is the most confusing thing you have ever heard? What is the most confusing thing that does not make any sense to you, but that is a real factor in Belizean life?
The most confusing thing that makes sense to me and a factor in Belizean life? That's a very difficult question, I have to say. Because sitting here, I was not thinking of anything that would have had me confused, right? Wow, I don't know. I think you got me on that one there.
Okay, since you can't answer that one,
You answer it for me.
I think the most difficult thing in Belizean life is the way how people think the world works. A lot of people think that anyone who doesn't do better for them, they're corrupt. A lot of people think that, oh, this person didn't donate this, they're corrupt. They're corrupt. If this politician didn't do that, they're corrupt.
So if this politician never helped me, then he's corrupt. But if he helped me, whether I do it the right way or the wrong way, he's not corrupt. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, once they give you something, okay, they're not corrupt. Once they don't give you something, a lot of people think that, oh, that person is corrupt. What if they don't have the amount? A lot of people don't have the amount. A lot of politicians don't have the money to give out this because they can't legally use Belize's budget to give out to random people unless it is using to like fix roads and things like that.
So when they're giving out money to people like that, you're wondering where does it come from? That's what you're saying.
Yes.
And where do you think it come from?
Sometimes I have no idea where it comes from. But once it is to fix something up, like to fix a road, to fix a building, it comes from it comes from the government budget. But if it comes out of nowhere, like to give a random person money, Lord knows where it comes from.
Okay, so because the government budget is financed by taxes that we pay.
Yes.
In some form or fashion.
And another thing that I have is a lot of people have not a lot of people have land, but the people who have land, they either have a little bit of land or they have a large amount of land. So an idea that I had was to have something like an extra land tax. If you have over 25 acres of land, you have to pay a small extra fee for that, a small extra tax.
So you would tax excess land holdings?
Yes.
What else would you do?
Something else that I would do if I had the power to do such things was that I would change the education system to help anybody slightly disabled, regular children, dyslexic children, children who don't understand what their teachers are teaching them. You give them a curriculum that is easier for them to understand it, and it is basically the same thing that you are trying to teach them.
Now, as we are coming to the end of this conversation, which is a conversation I guess I have enjoyed because there's a part of the Bible, I don't know if you're aware of it, that says, and a child shall lead them. And obviously you have the qualities in you, leadership qualities in you, even as a young boy. You know, you seem to know so much for somebody your age, and there's this high level of awareness of what is happening around you. What would you tell children your age? How would you advise them to go about living their lives?
I would advise them to whatever is their dream, whatever brings them joy, stick to it, research, and don't let it go.
Now, where do we find our dreams?
I think it depends on where you live. If you live in a place where a lot of cursing is going around and all of that, or if you live in a place where a lot of shooting is going around and you want to be a good person, more than likely you'll become a doctor or a nurse so you can so you can help people when people get injured. If you live in a place where a lot of crime is going along, you're going to be a police officer. It depends on the area where you live. Once you see the changes that need to be made, more than likely you'd stick to it, realize it, research, and try to accomplish what you need to accomplish to make those changes in the area you live.
But where do the ideas originate? They originate from inside you, right?
Yes.
So everything that you do, you have to think about it first, right? Or else you won't do it.
Yes.
So your life will follow your thoughts. And so it stands to reason then that if your thoughts that are negative, then you'll have a negative life. If your thoughts are positive, then you have a positive life. That's the way it works.
Yes. Once you have a positive mindset on the future, if you have a positive mindset that you are going to make it, you will stick to what you are trying to accomplish until you make it, because you have a positive mindset. But if you have a negative mindset, you would give it up, and your dream, all the things you worked for while you had a positive mindset would be for nothing.
Now let's look at positive and negative. How you see positive and negative, because they go together. You realize that for something to happen, this has to have positivity and negativity in it at the same time.
Yes.
That electric light that is shining on us right now has two wires, right? Yes. It has a negative wire and a positive wire. Now, isn't that the same thing that applies to in what we do and say?
Well, when you have a positive mindset, you also need to have a bit of a negative mindset. Once you have a bit of a negative mindset on something, you would realize, okay, let's say, for example, a person. This person is trying to achieve this, and then if they have a positive mindset and one of their friends asks them, "Can I join you?" and then they do it together, but their friend does not have a positive mindset to anything. You'd have to have a sort of a negative mindset to get the courage to say, okay, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything to help me accomplish this thing that I want to accomplish. Yes.
But my take on this, right, is if you look, like going back to this electric light that is shining on us right now, that needs these two wires, a negative wire and a positive wire. If you take away the negative wire, the light goes out, right? If you take away the positive wire, the light goes out. Either you take out, the light goes out, right? Right? Okay. But if we concentrate on the negative wire, the negative side of the wire, that has no juice in it. It's just there, right? The positive wire is the one that carries the electricity, right? So if we concentrate on negative things, then that's what we are. We're dead, because we're concentrating on the wrong side of the spectrum, all right? Because that has no life. The life is in the positive wire. So you have a choice to serve either the negative or the positive. But both are always there. So you either serve the one that has the energy to carry you, or you serve the one that goes nowhere. In other way, that's your life.
That is very true. And there's this one thing that I've heard that says, it depends on the way how you look at things. You can look at it negatively, or you can look at it positively. If you look at it negatively, you won't go anywhere. If you look at it positively, you will strive to accomplish that.
Earlier you said the right thing.
Yes.
Don't give up, because whenever you give up is when you become too negative. The negativity is what makes you give up. in circumstances. This won't happen. That's negative. This can't happen. It won't happen to me. I won't make it. All that is negative, right? Positive is I will make it.
This will happen.
It will happen to me. This will be me, and I'm going to get where I want to go. That's being positive. Now, to be positive, you need to take some actions, right? Because if you want to go somewhere, then you have to take the actions and go somewhere. You have to start walking. I cannot say I want to go down those stairs or up those stairs, and I don't start going up those stairs, right? I have to make the effort and go up those stairs if my goal is to reach the top of the stairs, right? I can be negative and say I can't do it and stay down there, which is easier to say, right? But will that put me to the top of the stairs? No.
Not at all.
So I got to do what it takes to get to the top of the stairs. And that's how I look at things. You share those views that I just expressed?
I share the exact views that you have just said to me. If you want to go up the stairs, but you said, "Nah, I will not go up the stairs."
That's easy.
That is easy to say, but the thing is that you will not do anything. You will just stay down the stairs, and that would be something bad for you only, because everyone will be walking up the stairs while you're still at the bottom of the stairs.
Well, I want to thank you about something, because I think when I was a young boy your age, I dreamt of being exactly where I am today. I dreamt as a young boy that one day, I did not know how it would happen, but as a young 7, 8-year-old, I dreamt that one day I would own my own radio station. That was my big dream, right? I held that inside of me, right? I did not know how it would happen, when it would happen, if it would happen, but I kept hoping that it would happen, right? And sure enough, my steps were guided, and it was not until I was in my 40s that I ended up owning my own radio station, creating my own radio station, and as a matter of fact, 3 of them, right? And what have you, and accomplishing my dream. But before that, it was a long road that I could not give up, climbing that ladder.
There's a long road to success, but you need to believe that the road is there.
And once you have it within you, then you will know which road to take.
Indeed.
Right? But you have to have it within you. You have to know what you really want from inside. And seemingly you are well grounded.
What you want in yourself and how you want your life to turn out.
And see the outcome too.
Indeed.
Even though they would tell you it's impossible, because they used to tell me I'm crazy. So even though the people would say it's impossible, you could show that it is possible with hard work and dedication and sticking to your goal, never moving away from your goal, right?
Indeed.
So, anything you'd like to say to the folks listening to you right now? Because now you have been talking to me, now you want to talk to the folks that might be listening?
Well, something that I might say is that if you have a passion, don't give it up.
Keep at it, right?
Yes.
Right. And passions are usually born because we love what we are passionate about. My passion was broadcasting. That was my love, my passion, right? Broadcasting, I've been in it for 55 years now, somewhere around there. And I still sit here and do it because I enjoy doing it, right? And so that's my passion, right?
You never give it up.
And you'll never work a day in your life too.
Indeed.
Because you're always doing something that you enjoy doing.
Once,
So?
yes, that is very true. I hear that saying a lot. if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life.
So I want to wish you all the best in life. And I want to thank you for talking with me, because obviously you got me talking back to you. I want to thank you so much for talking with me. And is there anything else you want to say, ask me, or anything like that?
Well, I already used up all of my questions.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, and I want to wish you the best in life. And congratulations for being who you are.
Thank you. Thank you.
Belize Watch. Knowledge of the past, impacting the present, building the future.